He started back with Amazon, a decade plus ago, and he is probably the most copied guy in this entire industry. As I said, the people copy from, learn from him. Okay, he's consulted, and he's basically almost written the material, or not almost, has written the material for massive guys, Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozy, all these guys. They all got their information from him, okay, or a large portion of their information from him. All the way from those guys, all the way to people like big corporations, big multi-billion-dollar corporations like Zoom. He consults, he helps with them. Okay, as I said, he's probably the most copied guy in this entire industry. A bunch of the stuff you see out there, people preaching that as their own unique method or their own findings, that actually all comes directly from Jason's work. So, as I said, he's probably just like the best kept secret on the side of the internet. So if you're here, all I can say is you're about to learn directly from the source. You're gonna get the clean drinking water direct from the source. So no further ado, I am gonna welcome Jason.
Yeah. It's John Cena. That's what I heard him say in the chat. We got some cool people here. I brought this email. This is my laptop. I got the chat live right here. I also got my book. So I made some notes here as we were going along so that everybody that I saw from earlier on in the chat till now, I'm trying to figure this out because this is the biggest chat that I've ever faced in my entire life.
Let's see, 47,000.
Yeah, we still got them on, right? And they're still going crazy. So I'm like, how do I get to an audience and answer questions that you have? And I noted some questions down that we're going to answer into. One of the questions was the workbook. The answer to that is Wave. So hello, how are you doing? That's Wave, W-A-V-E. You'll want that workbook. Trust me on that. By the way, what a demonstration of the value of digital products. The number one question requested in the chat was something to do with that workbook. And it's not something that is overly complicated these days to put together. Back in my day, youngins, I'm going to put that on and I'll revert back to that from time and again. If I wanted to turn something into a PDF, like just a PDF, there was no Google Docs that you could file save as. It was a nightmare. You had to buy a license to Microsoft Word and then figure out how to convert the thing. And then it would look terrible. So this is the value of digital products. You've seen it firsthand and any of you can put it together and we're going to walk you through over the next few days. Now, there is something I do want to address and this is all good and fun, right? The cost that you pay to be here is $0. It's your time and your time can be invested anywhere. And everybody's like, get to the point. That's like getting 9 women pregnant to try to make a baby in a month, right? So everything in due time, my friend. We want to set the widest net possible for the deepest level of understanding. Hopefully that you can appreciate that. And we're gonna kick some game. But if I give you the secret third act ending to your favorite movie before you watch the introduction and the middle part, that doesn't make the movie better. That makes you more confused. And so hang in there with us. We'll do our best for you. I appreciate this. There's a couple questions I want to ask up front, but then I want to test something. I want to see how good you are at following direction. Because by the way, a secret to success, it's better to follow the right direction than it is to be brilliant. I see a lot of brilliant people make things harder than they have to be and fail. And I see a lot of people that got D-minuses in school and succeed very well in this business because they follow the right direction. So when I do ask your questions here in a bit, to help me sift and sort, we're going to test this out. We'll see if it works or not. We are live here without a net. I want to see if this works. I'm going to put the word monetize in front of your question. And that will help me scan through and see the ones that pop out. Do not do it now, okay? Some of you are too eager. You'll put it in now. You missed the point. That's the problem. That's the problem with digital products, by the way. Some people got there too soon. Some of you got there last year or 2 years ago, and you say, this didn't work because I tried it once upon a time, and I didn't become an overnight millionaire. Well, being too early is just as bad as being too late. So I'm going to have you preface your question with the word monetize in front of it, and then ask it to me. And I will do my best to answer it. Now, there's a...
Sorry, go ahead. I just want to say Wave is all caps.
Oh, damn. So we made it complicated.
Yeah, sorry.
I like that.
Yeah. Wave, all caps.
Wave with all the caps. Yeah. All right. So here's a couple questions I want to answer ahead of time. One of these questions is, will this get saturated? And I think that's a really good question because if we all went to the ocean with a teaspoon, I don't think it matters how hard we work at it. We will not drain the ocean. In fact, tell me if this is not true in your own experience. There are problems that people face today that didn't exist yesterday. And so therefore, those are net new opportunities. So literally every single minute of every single day is a new digital product that is being created through demand that is yet to be supplied. So write that down. If you want a takeaway that will really dramatically affect your life, it's the problems people have today that haven't been solved yet are the opportunities for you to make money with tomorrow and to serve tomorrow. And that's true for everything. That's true for physical products as much as it's true for digital products. Once upon a time, you could wear any old pants to the yoga studio. Now you have to wear yoga pants to the yoga studio. And if that's not good enough, some of the people that I live with in Southern California, they can't even shop at Lululemon because that is not upper end threshold enough. They had to go to a fancier place and wear even more special yoga pants in order to do that. That was a problem that didn't exist before. And now it is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. And the same is more true actually with digital. So there is no point of saturation. The point of saturation is the number of people who tell you can't do it. So write that down, okay? The only thing that's saturated is the amount of people in your life that will tell you to stay the same, which is why you stay the same, because you follow that saturation. And then the opportunity that is unsaturated is the one that you think is saturated. So that's something really important. Now, here's a little other piece of knowledge I want to drop on you in my 18 years in this business. I've done more wrong than right, but if you do a lot, then you end up doing a lot of right, even if you do a lot of wrong. So my suggestion to you is to think about the advantages that you already have today, and let's invest those into tomorrow's session. All of you have some inherent advantage that you are holding that you don't even necessarily know you have unless you go and you search for it. So the advantage of being brand new is an advantage because you have a fresh pair of eyes. The advantage of being a foreigner in a market is advantageous because you would have affinity with other foreigners in that market. And we can just run down the line. The advantage of having a very small win is it makes you more relatable than all the gurus out there who only have really big wins. In fact, do me a favor and do an audit of everything that you've done over the last 30 days that you would consider a success, big or small. And I want you to write all of those down. And then you will be surprised at the number of problems you've solved that would be valuable to other people. And then there was a couple questions in the chat that I had as well. Why would people pay for this? Now we're going to get way more in depth into all of this, but I want to give you a little bit of that love here today so you can sleep on it and then wake up with more wisdom tomorrow. It doesn't matter who won't pay for it, because some people will spend 40 hours sewing their own clothes before they go to the store and buy a shirt, right? What happens is, would a reasonable person prefer to pay for this with money versus time? And that's who we sell to, or should I say, did you listen? Distribute to. I am not opposed to selling. I think selling is the greatest thing ever, and anything that has taken place has first been sold before it took place. But selling is an advanced skill set. So when I talk about finding your advantage, we want you to find the advantage that you already have, not the one that you have to plant the seed today for, to grow the tree tomorrow, to get the fruit next week from. We're talking about immediate leverageable advantages. And then the big question here is, where can we find customers? And I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that one to deepen your thinking, and then we'll explore this furthermore in the upcoming sessions. Where can customers find me is a better question to ask. Where can I be in the places that customers are already looking for solutions, and I can be one of those solutions? And that is something that I think will have a profound impact on everything that we set the stage for today. But now I want you to think about these insights that we're just discussing right here. We could not give them if we first did not lay the groundwork, which Iman did amazingly for you here in the time that we put together. Here's a cold hard truth that breaks my heart, but it's still the truth nonetheless, is a majority of people will minor in a majority of things, meaning they will take them barely serious, if not at all. And they are the ones that want it all in 1 minute or less. They are the ones that don't want to wait. They're the ones that, when they did the marshmallow test, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, right? But they put the kid in front of the marshmallow. They said, hey, eat one now or wait 15 minutes and get two. They were the ones that ate the marshmallow. And then they followed up with them 30 years later on. It didn't end too well for them. Not as well as the people that could wait to get double the marshmallows. Now, I'm not a marshmallow kind of guy. I'm getting old. I'm getting up there in age, so I got to watch what I eat. But you get the idea here is we got to invest a little bit of time to get a lot in return. What you put in this business, though, gives you an outsized return. This is one of the few businesses which is the more that people can take advantage of you, the more advantages you get. Here's what I mean by this. If it takes you all day to come up with a solution that somebody can get a win from in 10 minutes and they only have to pay you $10 for, who got the better end of the deal? They did. And then if 1 million people get the better end of the deal from you, what do we call you? The ultimate success in life. So we build businesses where everybody can take advantage of us and we get the ultimate advantage. Now, with that said, I'm going to attempt to do something dangerous here. And that is ask for some questions from you. Now, if you listened, I got one here. Monetize, how to access synthesize AI. You will wait patiently, my friend, until tomorrow. And at a certain period of time, we will drop a link that gives a very, very good deal that may or may not include that or something to that effect. I like where your head is at. The real question, though, is if I had to reframe that so it's accessible to everybody, is where can I find tools that give me advantages? And I think that's a fair question to ask, because so many people say, how do I do this without tools? Meaning, how do I do this for free? And if that's your only option, God bless you. Do anything and everything you can to save as much money as you can so you can invest that money in your family. I think that's a wise decision. However, there are times where we can be penny wise and pound foolish. And so we have to make the right investment. So we will certainly give you some options for that when it comes. Man, this is really great. The monetize is working fantastic. How do I know the right niche or topic to do? Do I have to stick to one niche? Fantastic question. First of all, I never know the right topic. And I've been doing this. I've done over 400 digital products in my life for myself, what to speak of for clients. And I make educated guesses. I'm no different than Hollywood. Hollywood puts a movie out, puts $100 million in it, and it ends up being Snow White, right? I mean, these are supposedly experts, right? I'm supposedly an expert. And what I do is not have to be right. I just have to be there. And if I am there enough, ultimately I will run out of ways to fail. And that's what I want for all of you. So what niche do you pick in? We can give you best practices. We can give you guidelines. We can give you suggestions. Better than that, we can show you the right tools with the right AI. Because by the way, the wrong AI is worse than no AI. So write that down. The wrong AI is worse than no AI. So the right AI can do this for you as well.
Sorry, real quick. Guys,
yeah, please.
Just drop a fire emoji in the chat, because not all tools are created equal. And I think a lot of people sometimes forget this. Sometimes if you use the wrong tool, it can set you back rather than pushing you forward. And also just drop some love for Jason.
Give me some love.
He's a fucking legend, huh?
I flew 16 hours to be here. And let me tell you something. It was worth it. They used to give lobotomies back in the 50s. So it was a tool, but it wasn't the right tool. So yeah, we want to use the right tool to help us find this. But I'll tell you, anybody who says, I got this formula, just follow this 6-step process, fill in these blanks, push this button, check this thing here, hop on one foot, then hop on the other. And I guarantee you will 100% pick the right niche. I would be nervous listening to that individual. Our goal isn't to be right. Our goal is to be successful. And successful means being wrong fast until we're no longer wrong. Now, there are, again, best practices. So let me give you some best practices. We want to solve problems that have existing pain versus things that may give pleasure in the future. We want to, for most of you, narrow our focus significantly. So on day 5, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of insights psychologically to why people succeed or don't succeed in this business. One of the things that I got lucky for originally on accident was I made a product so small that I couldn't not complete it. So I made a product that was so narrow and focused. By being the only one to publish it, I was the #1 provider of it. I was also the only provider of it, right? But it was so incredibly narrow and it was so incredibly cheap that I made $4,000 with it within the first 7 days. Now, I'm a small town Iowa boy. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And I remember walking down the store. I was at a grocery store. It's called a Hy-Vee, by the way. It's a regional grocery store. Walking down thinking, I just made $4,000 in this week, feeling like a big shot. I'm like, I wonder who else in this grocery has made $4,000 this week, because I sold 1,000 people a $4 ebook. Now, the barrier to entry back then was not just creating the content. It was also putting it in the right format, being able to accept payments for it, delivering the thing, reaching an audience. Putting 50,000 people on a live stream like we did here today was impossible up until a few years ago. The technology to even do it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it still wouldn't work. Like, I've done consulting for Zoom, and Zoom was the first company that made it possible to do multicast events in that scope. And obviously YouTube has took it to another level. So you can say there is more noise online for sure, but there has never been a faster time for an idea to catch fire and reach more people globally than you used to be able to reach locally. Okay. So if you don't wake up every day blessed to be at the single greatest time ever in history to make money online, I don't think you're aware of it. Now, with that said, there's more confusion than ever with where it comes to make money online, which is why we're helping you sort through the confusion. But here's the deal. I don't want you to overthink your decisions, because overthinking is going to be one of the causes of failure for you. I want you to get an idea, spin it up in a few minutes, because the barrier to entry is very low, but people just don't know that yet. Isn't that exciting, by the way? My favorite thing in this business is finding things that are perceptively true, but are in reality false. So let me give you an example of that. The shark is the scary thing that everybody's afraid of. They have Shark Week on television. They made a movie, Jaws, donna, donna, donna. You know, sharks kill about 9 people a year, okay? Humans kill millions of sharks a year. So the shark should be afraid of the human, not the other way around. You know who kills the most? The mosquito. Oh my God. But nobody's making a donna, donna, and then a little mosquito lands and kills you, right? So that's reality versus perception. So the perception is, I got to get the perfect product. I got to do A, B, and C. It's going to be really hard. It's going to take all this time, effort, and energy. So therefore, I won't do it. The reality is the barrier to entry is in actuality very low, but the perception to get into the game is incredibly high. You know what we call this to those that are tuned in? We call this opportunity. And I stress that middle word in there that I put in for effect, right? All right, so let's go back to the chat. No corn. So corn is an Iowa export for sure. How can I do the research for what people are looking for most? Okay, I'm going to show you the old man Fladlien way of doing it, and then we're going to give the new school, fresh era way of doing it, the way that Iman and team have in place. Which is, by the way, why I'm part of this. I'm part of this because my goal is to find the best advantages out there and get behind them in some way, shape, or form, so I can be part of them. I don't have to be Michael Jordan, but I can still win the ring if I'm on the team that Michael Jordan is on. And so the thing about this is, here's how I would do it. I would listen to the things that people would complain about, and then I would say, would they pay to make that complaint go away? And so I developed almost like a detective ear. Like every time I heard a complaint, if I heard it once, no big deal. If I heard it from 2 different people, kind of interesting. If I heard it from 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 people here, I thought, wow, we might have some money to be made here. So then step number 2, let me test the idea. Now, if you go to somebody and say, if I did X, Y, and Z, would you pay for it? The chances are they will say yes. And then if you pulled it out and actually had it and said, okay, the chances of them giving you money are probably no, okay? It's like asking a fish how to catch it. Buyers will not tell you what they will buy, how they will buy, where they will buy, when they will buy. This is the huge problem with old school pre-AI, pre-software, market-based research. This is why guys like me get paid lots, and I'm talking lots of money to use this part science, part art, which is what I'm dropping gems on you right now with, okay? So we just find out for very cheap. We put it in front of somebody without even asking them. We say, we have the solution to this problem. It's a couple of bucks. You want to buy it. Now, nobody would listen to me when I would teach them this because, again, the barrier to entry. Well, I got to go and develop it. Nowadays, you don't. AI can help you with it. You can, of course, develop it yourself. Okay. Then you can say, well, I got to be able to accept payments from it. In the past, that was very challenging. Nowadays, it's incredibly easy. You'd say, well, I'd have to get eyeballs on it. I'd have to attract them. Even if WAP were not the largest, growing, fastest, most maturing, most effective marketplace on the market right now, even if, let's say, for example, like you were allergic to the word WAP and you couldn't do it, right? Your mother told you when you were younger that if you involved in anything with WAP, you would be cursed for the rest of your life and you weren't able to use WAP. You can still find today people online easier than ever in all sorts of different communities where you can test the idea out. You can do it for free initially. You could say, I'm going to give this to the first 5 people for free and then I'm going to charge the rest of you assholes later, right? Because our goal is to see if we can solve the problem. Because if we can solve the problem, it doesn't matter if we got paid or not. We have proof that what we have is valuable. So therefore, we will then go out and sell it to the rest of them. So all of that stuff used to take 27 hours if you were good, 50 hours if you were okay, an infinite number of hours if you weren't. You just never got it done. Today, that stuff can take 27 minutes. Maybe not the first time. There's a little learning curve. Maybe it's 47, maybe it's 67, maybe it's 77. But it is done in a blink of the eye, and for most of you, it's done better. Which leads me to this next question. And I saw this earlier, and I've seen this on Monetize. And thank you for hanging in there with us.